Hello, everyone. This is Theo from Making It Make Sense with Isaiah, Jasper, and Theo. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and listen out for new episodes every Friday. Follow us on Instagram and leave us a comment at Making It Make Sense, IJT, or email us at Making It Make Sense with IJT at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. Hi, everyone. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. 2, there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. 3, Anchor will distribute your podcast so that everyone can hear it, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. It is everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Making It Make Sense with Isaiah, Jasper, and Theo. Today, we're going to talk about Black cinema. Films that, Black films that made us understand and appreciate our Blackness. Yay. Black power.
Black power.
Yes.
Black power.
Oh, I just love a Black film that just
Speaks to
sits
your
in
soul.
Yes, it just sits in your soul, and it's like putting on a warm blanket.
So
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s, and I grew up in a home where I didn't, there was no English, so we only spoke Spanish. And I was everything in my home was very Latin driven, food, music, television. So I had to go on a self-discovery of understanding the African American experience and Black in America. So we didn't watch like Minister Society. I didn't have the luxury of watching, that Black film or John Singleton films or films of that nature in my home. I discovered those a little later on. But the Black film that made me realize and appreciate and love and embrace my Blackness even more was Malcolm X.
You stole my movie. I was gonna say that.
Absolutely not.
It was in my brain.
I love that.
I had read the Alex Haley autobiography. By that time, I think I read it 2 to 3 times already. Because I am obsessed with Malcolm X. Let me tell you. And when I saw the film and I read the book, it just, I wanted to personify Malcolm X in terms of the way that he spoke with authority, with dignity, and without fear. And if you look at the way that I speak, that is who I'm mimicking.
Really?
You do have a very pronounced and very specific diction, and that makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jasper.
When I went in, this is my this is my idol. Okay, I worship at the temple of Malcolm X, and I dissected that autobiography, and I also went and looked up research and journals on Malcolm X to understand. I literally did a biopsy on his persona, on his development and his growth. And the number one thing that I picked up is just, be Black, be proud, and how to constantly put that out there. And because he was just so intelligent and so smooth. And so he was, he is the man that I wanted to be. And I think I did a good job. I am like Malcolm X.
You emulate him.
I emulate Malcolm X in everything. When I started emulating him, and then Denzel Washington did a fucking great job. Like I've seen Malcolm X documentaries. I have seen I in my iPod when I'm feeling down and I need to pick me up. I have a ton of Malcolm X speeches. When I'm running on the treadmill, I listen to Malcolm X speeches that they fuel me. They make me like speeches from 1964, 1960, 1969, and they fueled me mentally and intellectually, and just constantly a reminder that my black is the shit. Being black, I'd rather be nothing in this world. I just want to be black. And he personified that so well and the when he was a black Muslim, and then when he converted and became a Sunni Muslim and had his pilgrimage, and he understood the reality of Islam. And Malcolm X is such a great black American icon, and everything about him and the movie and the book that I actually read the book 7 to 8 times.
Ooh.
He just made me feel so proud of being black. And I'm glad that he has gotten, and he continues to get the recognition that he deserves.
Amen. It was like, amen.
And we're done.
No, that black film, and I watch Malcolm X I don't have regular TV, but when I used to have regular TV, every time that movie came on, I stopped what I was doing and I'll sit there and watch it as if it was the first time.
Oh, wow.
So what about you, Jasper? Since I stole your film.
Isaiah, you go. You can go. I'm still thinking. So.
Well, good thing I'm prepared. No, I'm kidding. So the first movie. So obviously, I grew up watching, and not all the time, like, don't get me wrong. So like, you had your black comedies and your black dramas, so your Eve's Bayou and your New Jack Cities and your, movies that I technically wasn't really allowed to watch in the age frame that I was in at the time that they arrived in theaters, right? And so I couldn't really, or I was too young to comprehend and things of that nature. But I also grew up, like with some black struggle films, your black struggle films, or series, your Roots, your, The Color Purple and stuff like that. But that was more history based and knowledge based.
Oh my God, you just hit me with The Color Purple. Don't play with me.
Okay, like, all right, like The Color Purple, like I still, every time, and I'm sure I speak for a large group of people when I say I still cry every time I watch that movie.
I fucking hate Danny Glover just because of that.
It was very hard to come out of like I had sames. It was very hard to come out of that in other roles with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Look at Mr. When he was a Lethal Weapon, look at Mr. pretending to be
that right. It was like he got like that stayed in my, like he lived in that role for me like for a long time. So so it started with a lot, the black struggle films, but then you had your Boys in the Hood and your Above the Rim and stuff like that. And then I ended up leaning more towards you're celebrating black families and black love and black friendship type films.
Oh, I know where you're going.
So, okay. So Soul Food is what started that for me. Okay. You already know. Cause I feel like there's a space for, and again, we are not a monolith, but there is a space that some of us live in where we're just like, so like, let's celebrate like the black friendship and the black love and the black family. And Soul Food was that for me.
And Soul Food matriarch.
And the black matriarch, yes. And the funny thing about, starting with Soul Food, also adding in Waiting to Exhale, and then Brown Sugar. Okay, because even though I love Love and Basketball, Brown Sugar is my Love and Basketball. That's just my, one of the things I love from each of these movies is they're celebrating a different aspect of Black culture that I feel like someone from outside of our culture in that way doesn't often get to see, I feel like, in the media, not as much. So like soul food, like, that's about the Black matriarch and the Black family and all of the dynamics that come with that. And for me, that very much, especially at the time, and not all of the little nuances, like, I mean, listen, to my knowledge, ain't nobody in my family was sleeping with their cousin, in-law was sleeping with the cousin. Like, I don't know. But anyway, that to have been the case. But anyway, but I felt very much like soul food emulated the structure of my family kind of at the time. And so I felt like I was able to relate to it a lot, especially to the character of Ahmad, because I had, I think I can speak for my cousins in this way too. Like, we all had a really special relationship with my grandmother. And she was the matriarch, you know what I mean? And so I very much felt like, wow, like I feel like I'm seeing like my family on screen for the first time. Like I really relate to this. I love, the depictions of, the Sunday dinners that bring everyone together, and, and some of the mess that happens at family events, because listen, one thing about us, there's going to be some mess at a family event. And not all the time, like it might not be like out loud, but like it might be like a little shade, like somebody said something about somebody's cousin, like, or or whatever. Oh, hey girl, I do not like her, like her, or whatever. And little stuff, little nuances and funny things like that just can be found in that movie and can be found in a myriad of Black families. And so I loved that about that movie. It's calming to me to watch, I actually haven't watched it in like a few months, because obviously I watched it a few months ago, but like, and then Waiting to Exhale. Shoot. Oh, child, listen, that's another like emotional song for me. That's an emotional song for me. I love that. So my mom loves Whitney Houston. Like,
we all do.
I mean, we all do, but like, so when I was a kid, and like, mom, don't kill me for telling people this, but like my mom has a really lovely singing voice. And so she used to sing a lot, when I was a kid and stuff, just if we were driving around together. Or
your mom has a good singing voice?
She has a nice singing voice, absolutely. And so I loved like, just, like she wasn't like she would sing like, in the car, or, like if she's, in the house and, doing some cleaning, and like, she's one of those passive singers, like kind of thing. And so Waiting to Exhale for me gave me a look into not just Black friendship, but Black female friendship. And not that I hadn't seen it before, because I saw it in my mother and her friendships, but it gave me it kind of like behind the veil a little bit, to see like what those friendships look like, what the Black female experience is like. And I loved that the setting was somewhere that I wasn't expecting. So like, I didn't expect Arizona to, have been the setting for this story. And also just, I mean, like,
the Black people living in Arizona.
That's right. That was my perception, especially at the time that I said, wow, oh, okay, this is new. The soundtrack was phenomenal. I also have to say the same thing of Soul Food. And let's just keep it a buck. Most of the soundtracks for Black films are like chef's kiss. Oh my God. Yes, like chef's kiss for all of them.
No. And Waiting to Exhale, you know what song that gave me shivers?
What's that?
The Mama song.
Oh.
And count on me through
thick and thin. Oh my God, CeCe, that's CeCe Winans and Whitney, right?
Yeah, CeCe.
Yes. I one time was listening to it on tape, and I'm like, why am I crying?
Because it's so emotional. And that's the thing about that whole soundtrack. Not Gonna Cry by Mary J. Blige. Okay, because Bernadette was done wrong. Okay, but like, or Bernadine. Did I say Bernadine? I'm sorry.
How old were you when this movie came out? Because you know what I'm thinking now. We ain't had no business watching this.
Watch it, yes. So that's the other thing. So really, I wasn't supposed to be watching. So but I think I was So this was in the late 90s for specifically for those two movies. So
Like in the middle, like 95.
right?
Mid 90s.
Yeah. So
How were our young minds? I wonder now.
oh yeah.
Processing all this adult emotional trauma.
We
Well,
weren't processing it. We were just enjoying the content.
enjoying the and but the thing is, and again, like I won't speak for everyone, but like for me, I was 11, like, okay, like, sorry, y'all, I know we like center and blackness, but like just for a quick, being real honest here, transparency. So when I was like 11, I was watching like Felicity, okay, and this is a show about like predominantly white. There was one black character that I love, but like played by Tangi Miller, heel girl, Tangi Miller, but she's amazing. But like that was a show about college age kids that I was watching at 11 years old. And not to like toot my own horn, but like I will say like I was super cerebral as a kid anyway. So like I just like had like an understanding of, I hadn't experienced those things yet, but I feel like I had like a really solid understanding of the dynamics of characters and stuff like that or whatever. And that probably was also because like as an only child from my mom, like I had a lot of time that I got to spend in my head, like, and stuff like that. So, but anyway, yeah, to your point, watching those movies and the complexity of those and taking it in at that age, I agree with Jasper too. Like we were also just really enjoying the content. And I think there was this familiarity to it. Like, oh, these are people that look like us. These are people that are having experiences that we're probably eventually going to have.
You could relate, especially like to soul food. Like you can also relate like, oh, we were talking about something like that at the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah.
When we were having family dinner.
Right. No, we were I can relate to that because we weren't talking about affairs and
no.
The affair part.
I didn't even know what an affair was. Like when they were arguing, like a lot of the times we would argue over the dinner table. Like, no, that's not what I said. We would have arguments. So I can relate to that aspect of having an argument over the dinner table.
And they would. And did you ever notice like adults would kind of, and that's why I say I really related to Ahmad's character in Soul Food, because there were times too when adults would speak around an issue. So you could tell there was tension or something was going on. But like from the way that Ahmad was narrating it in the movie in Soul Food, you could tell from his perspective, he didn't totally understand why. So this relative was.
So your movie, you saying that Soul Food and Waiting
to Exhale. And I also want to add, as a much shorter one, Brown Sugar. That one was more that came out in the early 2000s though. So that was, like more me going into high school. But that was kind of I like to look at it as like a trilogy of those three movies for me that impacted the way I saw my blackness.
How about you, Jasper?
Y'all said a mouthful so far.
But I know, because we're very inspirational.
Yeah, it's like y'all very inspired. I'm like, ooh, y'all said a million movies that was in my brain. Like I'm
oh no.
Yeah, so I'm having you can instruct my whole thought process now and into what films I can say. For one film I have that I can say inspired me a lot was Lean on Me. The story of Lean on Me. I love that film. Seeing a black man, take on such a leadership role and entering these lives of these kids and helping them to believe in themselves because they didn't think they could do any better than what the environment they were around. So him coming in there, this character Joe Clark coming in and really shaking it up because the school in the story, the school was really, really running down, had gang violence and all these gang members and people that were really destroying the school. So he came in there and really just, pushed for better supplies, books and stuff, and because he wanted his people to have a better education, wanted them to have a chance to succeed. And so I enjoyed seeing that element on screen because they're a plethora of films that showcase or talk about education, but they're not many. So this particular film really focus on the education part, especially pertaining to Black people. Like I was saying, Lean on Me is a film that I enjoyed. One of the films I enjoyed as a child watching, because it focused on the education system. Because there are not many films, that really highlight the education system in that level, as far as Black people, and in schools that are not funded or getting the funds to be able to allow Black students to achieve and succeed and have the same opportunities as their white counterparts and peers. So this film really highlighted that, this Black man, Joe Clark, coming into the school to make
Mhm.
things happen and make changes happen for these Black students, and make them believe that they can achieve, that they can be somebody. Because you had a pregnant girl in the film, you had a student who was getting pulled into the gang world in the film, that he pulled
Mhm.
them out of those worlds and made them believe that they can do something with their lives. And
No,
he
he
really
also had a kid that was one of them was smoking crack.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
was all kinds
I'm
of
like,
different elements
ugh,
in the film. So like he was
you
able to
got
come
everybody.
in. He get everybody, and so he came in and really changed things. He really took the school and uprooted it. And of course, people and certain people had issues with what he was doing and his methods, but those methods worked, and it helped the school and it helped those students finish. It helped those students realize they can achieve things outside of their environment and what they're in the normalities of what they grew up in, because they all grew up in impoverished environments and grew up believing that this is what that the world they were living in was only what they was going to see. So he
Mhm.
helped them see outside of that, and he helped them. They helped them with their test scores, helped them. Really, really break through in this film. So I enjoyed that. And
Mhm.
y'all also said like a lot of films that I enjoy. Waiting to Excel, one of my favorites.
I love that.
Films. I love seeing Black women of all shades, all sizes on
Mhm.
screen being treated equally. And I love seeing Loretta Devine look and be looked as a sex symbol in the film, because this
Yes.
man lust after her beauty. It wasn't Whitney's
Mhm.
character, it wasn't Lila Rashawn's character, it was
Mhm.
Loretta's character. So I love that.
Me too.
I also loved Hairspray, because I love the dynamics between the dark skinned girls and the light skinned girls, and
Oh my
the
God, Shop.
straight
My husband
hair
loves
and
that
the
movie.
the
Whoa,
straight
whoa,
hairs
wait,
and the,
but which hairspray?
no, I said school days. I'm school days.
Oh, I thought
School
you
days.
said
Oh,
hairspray.
School days.
yeah, I was gonna say, oh, my husband loves that movie.
Yeah,
School
school days.
days.
School days
Oh,
with the
yes,
with
it's a
the
Spike Lee
Yeah.
yeah with
film
with the with the
with
light.
Yes.
jigaboos. That's where I learned the word
That's a
jigaboo.
good.
Yeah, so because
That's the first time I heard that word.
with the light skinned girls and the dark skinned girls, I love the whole. We got to see like this is what it's like. This is real. Like this is what goes on. It's still going on between those two these women who light skinned girls think they're prettier and bigger than dark skinned women. Their hair is seen to be straighter and prettier than the dark skinned girls. Or hair is considered napping and not able to be kept up. So I love the element. I love seeing that. And I love seeing Spike Lee bring this together and showcase like this is what goes on in the real world. Um, uh, I love. I'm a bio person, so I love bio films as well. And one of my
Mhm.
all-time favorite bio films is What's Love Got to Do with It, because I love Angela Bassett's
Oh,
role in that film. I love the fact that she showcased like you can you can break through, you can go through abuse, you can go through traumas and
Yes.
still break through and still become a superstar. And that was Tina's story. Like she went through so much in her life, and Angela embodied that, and she really should have got an Oscar. She really should have,
She really
because
should
she
have.
embodied the essence of Tina in that film. She gave me chills, and Lawrence did an amazing job as her ex husband. Like they really brought those characters to life for me, and so I
yeah.
enjoy films like that, because I enjoy seeing our Black actors take on these roles and bring these stories to life and really showcase, that you know the people that we see, or these singers or celebrities, they're human people. They deal with human things outside the limelight. So I
Mhm.
enjoyed that. Enjoyed seeing that. So I love films. I'm a bio film. I love watching films that are, that tell stories of people that we read about or that we see about. So like Malcolm X, I like Bill said earlier. That's the one film he took from me, y'all. I enjoyed this film as a kid. I love Malcolm X. He's my hero. I am a Malcolm X fan. Like his whole
I
story,
love that.
what you live by, what you stood by, is what I aspire to be, and what I aspire to embody in myself, because he was a powerful man, a great man, and he was
Yep.
really a great leader.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and a good looker too. He was a fine man too, but we gonna but
Don't go there, bitch.
Wow.
Yes, but so so I think and for me, like growing up, and I grew up in the early '90s. I was born in '91, so I grew up in the early '90s. I grew up in the era of all these great classic films and watching them as a child. Like you said, like you said earlier, like as a child, you watch these films and you watching the content, and I was understanding as a child like what you really watching, because we shouldn't watch none of these films. We should have seen half the films we talked about as kids. But it was a thing. We got to see this content and we got to learn from it, because I think as we got older and we look back on and watch these films now, we actually were taught lessons in each film that we
Amen.
see. So
There we go.
Absolutely.
lessons.
Because you know what? Because I am glad that I was exposed to Malcolm X. I'm glad that I was exposed to Spike Lee films, because they laid a foundation for my blackness and
Yes.
what's expected of me. When I saw Malcolm X, I knew that I wanted to be a strong, assertive, and authoritative, well-spoken Black man. I wanted to be rooted in something, and most of all, I wanted to be rooted and proud of my Blackness. I'm glad that I was exposed to that book. I don't know who the hell gave me that damn book. I'm glad that I was exposed to that movie. I'm glad that I was exposed to seeing a multi-dimensional, multi-layered Black people, Black families, because it
Yes.
made me, and I was inspired. That is what I want. That is what I need to be in the world. Because if I was only exposed to Boys in the Hood, or what is the other one, Menace to Society, that would have been problematic.
Yes.
And in my home, we were not allowed to watch a lot of these Black films, because whether a lot of people don't believe it or not, there is this prejudice and there's this bias when it comes to Black Americans and Black people outside of this country.
I agree.
And in my home, it was like that. And in Panama and in Arab countries, wherever you go with Black people exist, nobody wants to be African American. But everybody wants the benefits of being African American. I don't know if that makes sense.
That's exactly
Yeah.
that.
So it's a very parasitic relationship.
Yes.
So and in my home, we perpetuated that. We were told, because the images that we were provided were of Boys in the Hood, were of Menace to Society, and we were told that that is what Black Americans are.
Yes.
Which is not true. And that's why I went on my own personal journey for my Blackness and discovered, an African American, beautiful Black man in Malcolm X and many more people. So and that's why I'm glad that I was exposed to a plethora of movies, because if I was only exposed to Men in Society and movies of that nature, it would have been perpetuating the false narrative of what Black Americans are.
Amen. Definitely.
100%.
I'm grateful that we have films that showcase and highlight Black people in power, because them films are important to see us in power positions in movies and content, because they always want to put us in these roles that are stereotypical: the gangbanger, drug dealer, convicted felon. So films that were created to highlight the excellence of Black people, like Malcolm X, I enjoy, because I want to see more of that, and I think more of that it's empowering seeing films like that.
Absolutely.
And even the struggle and the abuse and the drugs of Tina Turner and what love got to do with it.
That was hard to watch.
That was hard.
It was hard.
But it shows you that a black woman or a woman can go through all these things and still come out triumphant.
The resilience.
Be resilient, be powerful, stand firm in something, and push forward and still be successful because of her struggles.
And that actually, just to add to that, that begs the question, of our as a community and as a culture, do we need to, well, the answer to this is yes, but do we need to do a better job of protecting our Black women so that they don't have to go through the types of things we see depicted in films where they have to continue to be resilient and continue to come up against adversity that we should be doing a better job of protecting them from. You know what I mean?
You're damn right. Because there was
Right.
no reason why anyone, Tina Turner should have gone through what she went through. And once again, Tina Turner's story isn't unique to her.
Absolutely.
She's just one of the many women
Yes.
that this has happened to, and
Yep.
she just happens to shed light on it.
Mhm.
There's no reason why those things should have happened. Someone should have stepped in and should have protected her.
It's very much a cautionary tale in doing a better job of advocating for the backbone of our community, which is Black women.
Yeah.
Yes, and I took, and for me, like her story for me, that was what I took from it was that she may have been bruised, but she was not broken because she came out
Yes.
stronger and better than before. Like what she went through helped build her character and who she is today, a successful woman who who embodies what a Black queen should. You can go through your struggles, you can go through your ups and downs, but still come out triumphant like a queen and hold your head up
Yes.
high. And I love her story. I love that she had Angela was cast to play this role. Because Angela is a queen, and so her
a
Period.
whole queen.
and
Period.
embodying it and bringing it to life was aligned. It was her.
But that's
destiny.
what's happening with this generation. A lot of them, they don't have those inspirational films like we do. They don't have that good music, inspirational music that we do.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that this generation have in terms of movie and music and visuals is processed garbage.
Yeah.
I am glad that me and a group and a generation of Black men were exposed to Malcolm X,
Yes.
to Mr. Poitier, Sidney Poitier, Harry
yes.
Belafonte. These strong. I remember seeing Sidney Poitier in the heat of the night.
Oh my God! In the heat of the night. Oh no, you didn't.
And do you know, when I was 17 years old, I smacked a police officer, and I'm only here today by the grace of God.
What?
Because yes, this is a different story. But I was trying to copy Sidney Poitier, because again, I had this self-respect and this dignity that I saw on stage with Sidney Poitier in the movie, and I wanted to personify that. There was a power. There was a power that Malcolm X had that didn't come from being a politician. That didn't come from being famous. It came from his DNA, from his ancestors. That I wanted to personify and want to personify. These are the things. Good trouble. Sidney Poitier was getting in good trouble when Who's Coming to Dinner, and he was a Black guy dating the white woman. Look at these things that we were exposed to. We were exposed to culture, and I think it was purposeful.
Yes.
These kids nowadays are being exposed to malarkey, for lack of a better word. And I feel sorry for them because they don't have strong Black male, female images that are multi-layered, but resilient and strong and assertive and powerful and authoritative. They have caricatures of what it is that we grew up with. And it's just like, damn.
Yeah, it's sad. They don't get the experience. They didn't get the opportunity to have and experience these leaders that we got to witness on screen, on film, and on TV. Like this generation doesn't have that, and it's unfortunate because what they have to look at it as inspiration, and it's not inspirational at all. So it's very sad and disheartening to see this, because the generation are growing up, really shitty.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And actually, I do want to ask, what do you guys, so because we had the films and some of the TV shows, which is, that's another episode, but that we had, what is something, because we are dealing with a much smaller pool of impactful and meaningful television and movies, in comparison to what we had growing up, what are some movies or even TV shows that you guys feel that kind of make you feel a little bit of what we felt when we saw those films and TV shows for us as Black men?
Today? Damn, you asking me to go to the landfill and find a gold
I
mine.
mean, you can even one. Like if one comes to mind.
Black Panther did it for me.
Yeah, that's just me too. That's my
me
that's
too.
my ship. That's my hero film. I love that movie.
We
it was
all
empowering. Like he really did that movie right there. Just set it for me all. Like that was what I wanted to see. I've never seen a black superhero. So for us to get a film that honors us and honors a black superhero that way,
the right way. Because I thought that they were gonna. I thought, because I know Wakanda and I know Black Panther from the comic books, and I thought that they were going to represent us like 12 Years a Slave or like Roots. These poor African country, go. And I love.
They said, no, not today.
Not today. I love the blackness in Black Panther.
Yes.
It made you proud. And it's the same thing that this generation of people, like the Asian people, are feeling when they saw Shang-Chi. Which is important as well. But I can't think of anything else. Before Black Panther, there was nothing inspiring me. Do you have anything else?
Go ahead. Oh, I just have, Black Panther, because we all like that. I know y'all can't see me right now, but Wakanda forever. Like doing but so these are two things, and they're two shows. So I love, and it's they've ended their run at 4 seasons, but Dear White People was really impactful for me. I really liked it. It wasn't, none of the shows today are the same energy from the early 2000s and the 90s and you know what I mean? So it's, but Dear White People for me,
I can see
and
that.
Insecure for me.
I can see that
Insecure, what is just, because there's a feeling for me of like, I just love bathing in the blackness and the nuance of blackness.
Oh, I like the way you said that.
That is in these shows for me. And that's one of the reasons, like, and so we have a little group chat together, and I'm always like, I'm like, insecure, and Jasper's like, I have not seen that show, Isaiah. My God. He's like, I do not know what she's talking about.
What you're saying is correct, though. I see that there.
Yeah. I don't see it. I mean, we compare. I don't see.
Well, I know you haven't watched. Yeah, that's why
I haven't watched it, and I've seen clips, and I don't. We comparing it from the 90s and early 2000s. I don't see the parallel.
Well, and that's for me. I think it's personal to each person. Yeah, not for for someone it might be different totally. Like for you, like it's totally different for you than it is for me. So for me, it's some kind of remnant energy. You know what I mean? Where I can watch it and I can enjoy and sit in that. Like, and it be relatable for me. But for you or for Theo, it might be totally different. It might be like, okay, this is my journey. I don't see that in that. I see it in a different way. But for me, those two just kind of, I like it. For Insecure, for me, it's, the placement of, Black artists and the Black millennial stories, and the Black millennial friendships and stuff like that. And also, like, I'm not from LA, so that's a very specific, experience, to be Black and different.
From LA, they love it because of that.
Yeah.
It's very LA.
Yes. And that's another, it's a very specific, Black experience. For example, like where living single was being Black in New York City.
Woo woo.
Right. So like it's all very specific experiences, what I mean?
By the way, talk about living single. I was not allowed to watch The Cosby Show.
Wow.
Really? Yeah, why? That's it, yeah.
Maybe my parents were picking up on something that I didn't see people didn't see until now. But in our home, again, Black American culture wasn't prevalent in my home. So I didn't grow up watching Bill Cosby until later on in my life, until about 15, 17 years old, or maybe a little older. And I started saying, this show is fun. But I didn't grow up watching Bill Cosby and Felicia Rashad and these people. And like a lot of people did, and got that image.
Don't feel bad. Well, don't feel bad, because clearly, a lot of people will always tell me, "Oh, you're Theo, like Theo from the Hustables." I'm like, who the fuck is Hustable? Yeah.
And who?
Yeah.
And then when I saw it, I got it together. I think I was able to watch the reruns on like TV Land or something like that. I spent weeks, months, years just watching and absorbing all of that culture. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But this show is not for me.
It was for me. I mean, I was never a fan of the Cosby Show. I was always a fan. I was a fan of Good Times. I was a fan of What's Happening.
I love Good Times.
The Jeffersons was like my thing. Like I
Yeah,
love those shows. Like I mean, Cosby Show was a great show. It showed Black people and in a middle class, nice family.
Yeah, I got it.
But it wasn't for me. I didn't connect with it. I didn't just connect with it.
Like you didn't relate to it, yeah.
Now, in my home, we grew up watching this TV show called Que Pasa USA. It was like
Que Pasa.
Que Pasa. It was like a Spanish, a Latin family in America. But once again, the people on the television didn't look like me.
Were they
white presenting Latino?
Yes, I was actually going to say that. Were they?
Their experiences I could relate to. But then I will look at shows like the Cosbys and movies like Waiting to Excel and things like that, and I will see people like me. So it was this mind fuck that I wanted the people from Que Pasa USA to look like the people from Waiting to Excel and the Cosbys.
And that's on colorism.
And have those experiences that I was seeing in Que Pasa USA. I couldn't relate also to the jargon that I was hearing in Malcolm X, and then I was hearing in Minister Society, or even hearing in Higher Learning, because I didn't grow up with that jargon. And I was just like, oh, okay, I don't speak that way. And that's why also I gravitated so much to Martin Luther King and to Malcolm X, because I found something that I could relate to, the fact that he was a Black Muslim just like me, and that I...
Ding, ding, ding.
What did he say?
I said ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. I could relate to that, and that was the avenue. Thank God that was an avenue there. And then you said, I wanted to speak like this Black Muslim. I wanted, and if I didn't understand the jargon, how can I get to understand this jargon? That's why I studied. Like I studied Malcolm X in a way that I didn't study the other, other films and other things that were exposed to, because I could not relate. Like Denzel Washington in that Soldier movie, when he was getting whooped, I couldn't relate to Denzel Washington because, I just couldn't. He was in Hurricane also, which was a good movie, but I couldn't relate to the African-American culture of it all.
The experience of it.
Yeah, because I wasn't raised in an African-American culture. Right. I don't come from an African-American culture. Yes, I am Black 100%, but my culture is something different. So that's why, and these Black films, and once again, that's why I get the Cosbys, I get Good Times, I get the purpose of these Black African-American TV shows and movies, and I understand it and I embrace it and I benefit from it.
Right. It's very true.
It's a beautiful thing, but and a lot of people don't like to speak about that because it's sometimes it's weird. But I've never seen Latin American television shows or Latin American movies, and I've related. In my home, we watch a lot of telenovela, and I could not relate to anyone. And you know where I saw myself in telenovelas? I was the slave in the telenovela. I was the servant in the telenovela. The Black people were the thieves in a telenovela. They played not even a background role. They played a significant role. Everyone in the telenovelas looked like Shakira, Mark Anthony, and Jennifer Lopez.
I've heard that, not even just heard, I before many a times. And that's, I really feel like we could do an entire... Stay tuned, guys. It might be coming up with an episode on colorism soon. Because it really does like pop up in not even just Black culture, but in Latin American culture, Latinx culture. You know what I mean? Like it really presents itself more often than
right in your face.
Yeah.
It does. It's true. And we've seen it. Like I said, and it's sad because like I said, colorism does exist, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, in the Latin culture, it exists as well. So
Yeah.
it's just colorism is just
Colorism is ugly.
it's
It
very
is. It's
ugly. It's
ugly.
very
It's hard to
ugly.
talk about,
Yeah,
but
It
it's
it
is.
ugly.
It
is.
is
It
hard to
And
talk
is.
that's why
about.
I'm very proud of African American culture, even though I am
Yes.
adjacent to it. But through osmosis, I have experienced it, and I'm proud of the
Mm-hmm.
work that African American people did in this country, so that I can come here as my black ass and benefit from those things. Because African American culture helped me understand my blackness. African
Mm-hmm.
American culture helped me take pride in my blackness. And if it wasn't for that, I'll be walking around here calling myself Latino and not black. No, no, seriously. I'll be walking around here calling myself Arab instead of black. But African American, that's why we have to uplift African American culture, African
Mhm.
American people, because they have, and Haitian people, because they make you understand the root and the beauty of being black.
Absolutely.
No matter
Mhm.
where you are, if you're black in Latin America, in Asia, or Europe, or in the Middle East, you are black first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this erasure that happens. Even in the films, you have black Arab people, and they don't see themselves in the films. You have black European people, and they don't see themselves in the film. Again, this isn't unique to Theo. I'm sharing an experience based on my own anecdotal ish, and that's always been my issue, and that's why representation is important, and the appropriate kind of representation.
Yeah, definitely the appropriate
Yes.
time
Because I could
because
have been, I could have been
Absolutely.
sitting right here being CeeLo Crip Theo,
yeah.
if I was exposed only to all that shit.
Yes, I definitely agree.
True.
Like the appropriate kind of representation does matter because I never forget when they did that biopic on Nina Simone and they had Zoe Saldana
Oh
play her,
yes, I
play
Wrong
her.
remember.
black person.
I was so
Zoe
pissed.
Saldana is a
I
black
was
woman. She's not an African American
American
woman.
no, and
woman.
I was so pissed because she's not an African American woman. She's not black, and she's not even no. She's not. It didn't make sense. She's a
No,
light
no, Zoe
skin.
Saldana is black.
No, she's black, but I'm saying Nina Simone is a dark skinned woman.
Yeah.
Saldana is
Right.
light skinned. That didn't make sense at all. The
The
casting.
colorism of
The
that.
And
colorism.
then
That
they
was
had the
Yes.
audacity to put her in a fat suit, and then they put blackface on her to try to match
Yes.
the pigment of Nina Simone, which is very
and God
offensive.
knows
Which
I
is
love me some Nina
incredibly
Simone, Nina
inappropriate.
Yeah, very
Yes.
Simone, Nina
offensive. And Nina
Simone.
Simone's a queen, an icon, a legend, and should be
Oof.
treated as such
Absolutely.
and not disrespected like that. And it
I
really,
agree
Yeah,
it
that
really
was
pissed me off.
100%.
total disrespect. And mind you,
Completely.
Yes.
you could have gotten a British black person. You know, British black people can play anybody.
Oh yeah, of course.
A British black man can play me in a movie, and they'll be convincing.
Oh, 100%. Because they just be knowing. But
They're
like,
just so good, but that was such bad casting, and again,
Bad.
yeah.
erasure. Because
And
Yes.
Zoe Saldana could have been dark complected like myself,
mhm,
and Zoe Saldana could have been an Afro Latina, but she's
mhm.
on the lighter shade of black.
Lighter, very light,
Right.
and
And I
Nina Simone's very dark. So
and
they're
the
very
the representation of, of color, of the melanin itself is very important as well. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jasper,
yes.
with that casting, because people don't realize it's very similar to, when we beg the question to Hollywood, like, okay, you can't just throw an actor or actress in a role, especially a biopic, and say, oh, okay, well, you're a similar ethnicity, so you're adjacent enough,
That
but you're
part.
also adjacent enough to whiteness where it makes everyone comfortable going to see the film, right?
Exactly.
It's erasure. And
Exactly.
that's a problem for me because it's like, it's a problem for all of us because it's the same thing where, okay, let's pose the idea that someone just, in 20, 30 years, someone just goes, oh, let's cast, Theo, Jasper, and Isaiah, who's going to play them? And they just
Some light-skinned motherfucker.
some light skin for the dark skin man for me, because we all know I'm red bone as fuck. And then like a light skin, like super light skin person for Jasper. And it's like, that's not representative of
Not at all.
us.
Or
You
they would cast three white men and then dark face, get them
God
dark face.
forbid, Lord.
Oh no, even for me.
Now you done said it now.
Who's a white presenting Latin person? Because of my Latin ancestry, and they'll try to erase my blackness. They'll get some blonde hair, blue eye, Latin person and call him Theo Fox.
Yeah, and give him dark face, give him some dark makeup,
and give him a little tan to say, this was Theo when he was in the summertime. Absolutely not. Theo is black.
Theo was black as fuck. Okay,
that's how they do it.
Yes,
and again, they play with these nuances now in television and in film and in movies and in all this in TV shows. And these young people don't get the appropriate representation.
Not at all.
Everything that was done in the 90s and duplicate it.
Yes.
Because these kids, because I feel sorry for this generation, they don't have the appropriate representation. Because if I didn't have the appropriate representation, again, I live in 2021. I am a dark-skinned black man. I cannot sit here and tell you that I am Latino. I am not black. Okay? Cannot tell you I am Arab. I am not black. That kind of thinking is dangerous, and it erases the Africa in my DNA.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you said that right there. Why is the world and its different facets and different spaces constantly trying to erase the Africa in our DNA, in our representation, in the media? Why is that? Why is blackness being represented a problem? What's not as why is there a lack of beauty for people in blackness in relation to the beauty celebrated in lighter melanin or lighter skin tones? What is that?
Well,
it's a good question.
That's also a different episode.
It is. It's a very different episode because we can really go depth into that because you have black people who don't think people who are from other countries who are black. So it's a whole different. I'm just saying, like,
it's true. It's true. But look, let's keep it on the black movies that we love.
Yes. Sorry, y'all. Before we get off
topic. Yes, but let's keep it on the. But yes, like, and I'm a musical person too. So I have my favorite black music because I love singing. That really inspired my singing was Dreamgirls. That's my favorite.
The old one or the new one?
The old one with Jennifer Holiday, of course. The original.
There you go. You are a culture.
Yes, I love Jennifer Holiday is an icon and a legend. And when I heard her sing that song, like, it gave me chills because this woman went to a place in herself to bring out the emotions of that song, and it really inspired me as a singer to sing because I like that type of thing. I like to feel chills and goosebumps. And the story of seeing three black women who become successful.
That's a nice way to end the podcast. So let's say what our favorite black musicals are. So Jasper just said Dreamgirls for
Dreamgirls. Yes.
For obvious reasons. Isaiah, what's your favorite black musical?
Favorite black musical. So, okay, I'm gonna break the queer mold, and I don't have a favorite black musical because I don't have a favorite musical in general.
No worries. We don't replace your ass in this podcast. Get out.
You know what? I'm sorry. Okay, my husband's the musical person in this marriage.
My favorite black musical is how would you call it? Ease on down the road.
The Wiz, yes.
The Wiz.
Okay, I have seen The Wiz. I loved The Wiz. Okay.
I saw The Wiz when I was 22 years old, and I said, what the fuck did I just miss?
It was way better than Wizard of Oz. Everything.
And I saw that, and I said, I missed this? What? And I The Wiz just did it for me.
You talking about the Broadway or the film? Which one?
I like the film because Broadway. I don't think I was around during Broadway. So
I thought you were. You are older, so I thought you were. Around.
That was an interesting turn of events.
Isaiah, you're back in. Jasper's getting the fuck out of here.
I was not expecting that.
Fuck him, okay? And on that note, see you guys. See you, everybody.
See you later.
See you guys, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Until next time.